protesters. And so essentially, you know, all of you end up getting blamed. And I want to know how you respond to that because you were there.
Right. Well, it's a simple response. Watch the videos. You see the officers actually pushing people on top of her. You can actually see from the body cam footage her doing her last kicks while they're pushing people on top of her, and it's repulsive, really, that they would do something like that. I believe, she was trampled by us, but because of the police, because they were making people get on top of her. They did not care that she was down there. People were screaming, she's dying, she's dying. But they did not care. They kept on pushing people on top of her. And when the people were, I'm sorry, this is John Millis, and when the people were off of her, the cops continued pushing forward and walking on her body. Yeah, I've seen Lara Logan actually step on her, and actually I got hit in the head with a baton, and when I looked up, I see Lara Logan coming back with the stick in her hand at the baton and smiling, but she was standing on Rosanne Boyland. So.
Yeah, and there's a part, and again, I will get you this body cam footage number. There's a part where Roseanne is off to the side. She is on the ground. No one is on top of her, so the crowd has moved or dissipated to the point where she's not being trampled. And you can see her legs moved, so she's alive at that point. Then after that, that's when I have to go through all this video again, but I can't get a laptop in here, by the way. It's been 3 months. I'm waiting for a laptop to get to me. But my point is that right there is where you can see her move. She's alive. And then after that is when Officer Lara Morris, yes, beats her with a stick. And also, while she's beating her with the stick, if you slow it down, you can watch Lara Morris's foot. I don't know if it's a left one or a right one. She's kicking her while she's beating her. She'd thump, 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 kick, thump, thump. You watch it slow motion, and you're like, this is not an accident. This is on purpose. It's disgusting.
When people are reaching in trying to grab Roseanne and get her out, and the cops are hitting them over the heads with batons, which and that's coming from a cop who said that's deadly force. You're not supposed to hit people in the head with a baton. When they just didn't care. Everyone was very clear, screaming for help. The screams that there was a woman dying. She can't breathe. She's dead. She's dead. Please help. Someone help. There were screams all over. It wasn't just Justin Winchell that was screaming. There was many people screaming. There was a girl dying. And the cops completely ignored it. And the protesters tried to get in the way and tried to stop it. And it was to no avail. It's something that haunts me every night.
So something that's difficult for me to understand watching the video because I wasn't there. So why, I know that for several hours before, people were going through that tunnel. They were going in and out of the Capitol in that entrance. So do you have any idea, did you learn in your discovery, did your attorneys ever ask, who made the decision to push people out of the tunnel? Who made the decision to close that off? Because it seemed to me that if there were people already in the Capitol, why was it so important to the police to hold the line there? I mean, you could have avoided all of that conflict if you just stepped aside.
They're shaking their heads, they don't know. I have one other thing I will find, and I will feed this to Tommy. There's some video that I have seen that actually has a line of string that connects a number of the officers in the very front, as if like, we're not going any further, we're not going back, this is the line we've drawn. I found that very odd, as if it was pre-planned. Again, my interpretation. So, we've never been asked anything, because as far as who made that decision, that's something we simply do not have the answer to that. Go ahead.
Have you asked the question and not been given an answer, or has no one asked?
In my experience, that going up in front of the judges, especially Judge Sullivan, I was supposed to be seen and not heard. So it's very hard to ask questions. Some of our lawyers, refuse to actually cooperate with us ourselves. I feel like some of them are just in it for the money and the notoriety. But
how many of you have public defenders?
Most of us. Do what, ma'am?
How many of you have public defenders?
I think it's a small few of us, but we are finding out that the public defenders are actually fighting harder than most of the papers.
Hold on. I gotta tell you, my lawyer is actually pretty solid. He's actually a good guy. Does well.
But a couple of the public defenders are doing their job. But my public defender, I have a paid lawyer now, and he's doing okay. But my original public defender, John Ellis, my original public defender told me, the day that I fired him, this is the day that I fired him, he told me that Rosanne Boyland got what she deserved. That was what my public defender told me. And that was the day that I fired him. And I had no way to afford another attorney, but luckily the Daily Pundit and Karen Castronova stepped in to help me raise the money that I needed to hire my own counsel. And I would love to let you know, Ms. Logan, that Gateway Pundit has helped dozens and dozens and scores of men raise the money needed for them to hire private counsel. Gateway Pundit and Jim Hobbs have been true patriots and true heroes in this movement. Just want you to know that.
Well, I am working with Kara and with Jim. We've interviewed Jim and we're set to interview Kara in the next few weeks. And so their work, what they've done, it will be documented in this film and in this series. But I just want to ask you if there is anything, the videos that you can point me to, any documents, anything of interest that you think is relevant. I'm interested in looking at all of it and doing my best. I'm sorry if it feels like I've been, missing in action. There's just, as you can see, things are melting down around us in every direction, and so I've been a little overwhelmed, with, between the different things, and everyone's issue is urgent, right? I mean, when you're dealing with children that are being raped every day, it's hard to say that one thing is more important than the other, right? So I don't want you to get the sense that I'm saying it's not important. I just want you to know I'm split in lots of different directions, trying to do the right thing, and unfortunately there should be an army of journalists doing what I'm doing, but I don't know where they are. So, but I just want to ask. It's really important to try to understand when that changed in the tunnel. If you have a situation where people are being allowed to walk through that tunnel, and then suddenly they're not allowed to walk through there anymore. So who made that decision, and why did they make that decision? And then what happened as a result of that decision? Those are critical questions I'm trying to answer to understand the whole picture, right, of what happened here. So if any of you are able to shed light on that, if you're able to get any of those questions answered, I would be very interested in knowing the answers. I'll be trying to get them myself. And then I don't know how much time we have left. Okay, we have 3 minutes left, so I don't want to be the one talking. I'd rather hear from you if somebody wants to say something.
Yeah, as far as the tunnel goes, I mean, I got up there late, so I do not know if people were allowed through that tunnel or not. That's beyond my knowledge. I don't believe that they were. I do not know.
No, they were. They were.
One thing I wanted to throw out quick. One thing I wanted to throw out quick is that in my first indictment, prosecution tried to say in my indictment that I was one person that stopped the police from helping the trample victim. In my second indictment, that went away. So their narrative didn't hold water, and they tried to cover their tracks. I seriously wonder, when the grand jury heard all the information about me, did they say, "Oh, this guy stopped the police from helping a trample victim"? Because it's in there. It's in my first indictment. But second time, poof, gone, went away.
Okay, I have one important question. One important question. Do you believe that you're still in prison without a trial, without ever having been convicted, because they want to keep the story of what really happened to Rosanne Boyland out of the public record?
There's a high probability that that is the exact scenario, but I have nothing to back that up.
Well, is anyone who was with you at the scene there, have they been convicted yet?
They've taken pleas.
I want to point out, Justin Jersey, he's one of the guys, he took a plea, but he, in the affidavit for the search warrant for his house, it acknowledges that there were people in medical distress on the ground in front of him. Well, he was right next to me. He's actually the one who actually handed me this, it's on video, you can see him hand me the stick, allegedly. In my motions, the prosecutor would file motions against me saying, basically pretending like there were no people in medical distress when I was saying that. And it was later that I realized that I came into possession of the affidavit for Justin Jersey's search warrant for his house. That the same government that was saying there were no people in medical distress in my case.
You have 1 minute remaining.
So
there were people in medical distress in his case.
Okay, so no one will see the affidavit in the search warrant in his case, in his plea deal. Nobody will write about it, nobody will hear about it. But if you get into a courtroom and tell your story, it will be part of the public record. And to date, nobody who wants to go to trial and was involved in anything that happened around Rosanne Boyland has actually gone to trial or had their day in court, have they?
No one's gone to trial. They've had their day in court. During sentencing, I think they had the opportunity to say what they wanted, but I also know that some people that have had their sentencing or had things that they wanted to say during sentencing were turned off. They said what they wanted, but it wasn't part of the record.
Why not?
I believe that happened. I think that was Robert Morris. You'd have to talk to Robert Morris about that. I think that's exactly what happened. He had a whole...
Thank you for using Global Telling.
Hey, look, I know you got way more questions. I put you in touch with them. All right, guys. I know we had a special night tonight, so I appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you, Lara, for coming in. I know I appreciate you looking at the subject. I know the guys do have folks now. There's no telling how